Have you ever received a really awesome gift? I think as humans, we love gifts, and it's not because we're fat, greedy slobs, though sometimes we are, right? It's just because that's one of the ways we communicate love to each other, giving and receiving gifts. It's kind of the way we're wired. And I know as a kid, the smorgasbord of gifts was Christmas, so that was always a time that, you looked forward to and got excited. And no matter how many times your parents tried to remind you that it was about Jesus' birth, you were really excited about getting the gifts. And there were some people that were great at giving gifts, like my Auntie Lane, she always got us really cool stuff. And there were some people that were really bad at giving gifts, like my grandmother, God rest her soul. She would just end up getting you something that was, was a necessity, maybe some socks or a sweater or undies. And, you'd always be kind of hoping for just anything but that, maybe some money, cigarettes. Just kidding. But, something other than what she got you. And every year, sure enough, you would open it up and it'd be a pair of socks, And I think if you look at this coming week's gospel and what we're celebrating this coming week, the Feast of Corpus Christi, really what we're celebrating is one of the greatest gifts, is the greatest gift that God could have ever given us, is the gift of himself in the Eucharist. And I think if you look up to that point in salvation history, really we're like the kid who, we kind of expecting socks, for a gift. It's, in the Old Testament you hear about even the people couldn't go directly to God. They would give their prayer requests to the priest. The priest would go into this tent and pray. And so there was a real removal from intimacy with God. And so they're kind of used to just that. And then all of a sudden they receive the most amazing gift in the world. It'd be like if I was expecting socks from my grandmother and I opened up, a set of keys to my own personal mansion on a private island she bought me with, 17 pools and my own hot air balloon, and all I was expecting was socks. Like for a lot of us, I think even now sometimes, we just expect so little of God when what God has given us is so great. Even if you look at Moses in the Old Testament, I think, God did some cool things for him. I always love when Moses is talking to God in the burning bush and God asks him to do something extraordinary, like he asks us to do something extraordinary. And a lot of times, like him, we're scared, and so he says, well, what if they don't believe me? And God says, well, take that staff that you're holding and throw it on the ground. And he does it, and it turns into a snake. And he's like, if they don't believe you, show them that. And I think to myself, and that'd be pretty cool to have a stick that turned into a snake. If someone didn't believe me about God or something, that'd be a cool gift. And then he says, well, what if they still don't believe me? And then God says, put your hand in your coat and take it out, and it's covered with leprosy and pus and sores. And then he says, now stick it back in, and it heals. It's perfect again. If I was Moses, I'd have been like, well, it's not as cool as the snake stick, but I don't know if I really want a pus hand. But regardless, what if God, after both those things, said, or I could do this, I will let you eat me, God, take me into your body, and I'll just be with you. I'll go with you. And I'd be like, wow, that's definitely better than the pus hand and the snake stick, And that's what God gives us. That's what we're celebrating this week at Mass. It's nothing that we can. I wish I can give a more beautiful explanation of what it is or exactly how he does it or why he does it, but it's just one of those things that he just showers his extravagance on us in this amazing gift of the Eucharist. And so I challenge you this week to, when you're at Mass, before you receive, to kind of just realize the enormity of what kind of gift you're getting. Don't just go up there like you're receiving another pair of socks, a sweater from your grandmother. You're receiving the most amazing gift that anyone could ever give you. God himself is offering himself to you.